Good afternoon. It's meteorologist Erica Martin. If you're on the West Coast, good evening. Otherwise, well, yeah, Mountain, not Central and Standard or Eastern Standard Time. Yes. I hope you're all having a wonderful Tuesday. We have a lot of weather stories happening across the entire contiguous U.S. So let's get to it. I definitely want to keep you guys updated, and I want to remind you that if you do not follow us across our social media platforms, it's at weathercoop.com. That's our platform for our entire weather company. And of course, you can always follow me at with Erica Martin. And do not forget to subscribe to all of our information, all of our updates. And remember, we are a weather and community platform. All right, guys, this is a very interesting set of atmospheric conditions, right? So we have been talking about this atmospheric river. And really, what's interesting about this, and in fact, I wanted to go live a little bit sooner to update you on the frontal boundary. The frontal boundary is now kind of right along San Francisco, right along the Bay Area, and it's starting to approach the Central Coast. Soon enough, it'll be here in Southern California. So we're going to track that very closely for you because, of course, you all know the atmospheric river is a moisture rich ribbon in the sky of weather. And I think it's a river of the sky, but I always say ribbon in the sky. But we're going to track that. We're going to talk about that. What's interesting about this, especially this time of the year, is we're always looking for the cold air mass versus the warmer air mass. And that, of course, will lead to conditions like rain versus snow or versus ice, etc. All right, this is a very, very complex set of patterns here, and we're going to talk about how the Arctic air mass will impact a lot of the precip you see. All right, we'll get this into motion, starting this at 6 p.m. Remember, CST. So the reason that's the case is because if you look at this little hand across the screen here, let's see if I can get that for you. There it is. Okay, that handy dandy hand. So I have the camera positioned right in the middle of the country. So sometimes you guys will say, well, you're talking about the West Coast or the East Coast or Mountain Time. What's going on? It's because it's right in the center. So you're going to get up here, you're going to get CST. Now, there are going to be some other graphics that have other time zones. And of course, I'll notate that to you. Thank you. Hi to everybody who is watching right now on Weather Co-op, where weather meets community. And thank you so much for giving me your feedback. Julia, I miss you so much. And I cannot wait to take you out to lunch. All right, guys. Hi, Jay. Hi, Dave. Hi, everybody. Let's get this into motion. This is our atmospheric river. And I'm going to pause this and I'm going to scroll it back, toggle it back just a little bit because this is going to be important. In just a minute, Southern California, I'm going to show you the rainfall totals and the amount of rain we're going to get in a short amount of time, right? Because what's going to happen is sometimes, even though you get some rain, it's about that window. So you've got to really listen to the alerts, listen to what I'm telling you, advising, not that I'm telling you, but advising, because it's always going to be in that short amount of time. Sometimes this is when we talk about those flood watches versus those, the warnings, right? So all of those alerts that you'll get. We'll keep this going and I'm going to toggle it, continue it across. As we're getting that frontal boundary moving in, do you see essentially we get the one system and then we get these little impulses embedded in that system. We get that colder air moving down, but we also get this warmer Gulf air moving northward. That's actually going to set us up for a dry line as well, right across the southern plains. It'll be really the southern plains, and we'll talk about that in just one moment. But you'll see here, all of that precip is coming in. And what's going to happen is it's going to start to tell us, like, are we going to go more rain? Or are we going to go more of a wintry type precip? And we'll talk about that as we continue. You can actually see a really good depiction of that rain snow line moving through the Great Plains into and across the Northeast. Okay, this is probably one of my favorite views here. Oh, I love you, Julia. Thank you. So let me like that quickly. That's Julia. I love Julia. Okay. So here is something that I've been telling you about for the past several months, right? So when we're looking at how the winter is going to maneuver these storm systems, we're going to have to look at where is the storm coming from? I mean, generally speaking, it's coming from the Gulf of Alaska, although sometimes it'll come straight down from Canada, right? And it tends to be a drier storm system. It's not moisture rich. This in particular is moisture rich. It is tapping into a lot of moisture, and it's tapping into what we call that atmospheric river, right? So that is that Pineapple Express. So do you see how like it almost that tail end goes all the way down into the Pacific? There's so much moisture there. And then when that encounters that colder air in the storm system, perfect conditions for that atmospheric river. And as I get this into motion, look at that storm. Look at it and look at how it's moving across Northern California, but tapping into that moisture in the Pacific. Lots and lots of precipitable water. Okay. Look at what happens here by later tonight, overnight hours into early tomorrow morning. We're going to get a lot of rain. Okay. So I need you to focus on your particular neighborhood in Southern California, because as we have had to deal with these fires, you all are very aware of the burn scars, right? But sometimes what you're not aware of is how fast that rain can compromise the terrain. So it can be very quick. And I want you to pay attention. Anything that's giving you a flood alert, you've got to take that alert very seriously. All right. But you can see across the Pacific Northwest, the northern Sierras into the northern Great Basin and the Uintas, one of my favorite places on the planet, and the Intermountain West into the northern Rockies. Do you see what happens there? We get enough cold air filtering in, cold air coming down from the north. It'll change everything over. And also, you're understanding that we're dealing with orographics. We're dealing with different types of, lifting mechanisms that allows for, sorry, my hair's all in the way, that allows for that to happen, for that colder air, for that precip to change over because of the colder air higher up in elevation. All right. And please feel free, if you have any questions, let me know. I absolutely will answer them for you. You guys know all I do is talk weather. Actually, I do have other topics of conversation I enjoy, like the symphony and the ballet, to name a few. Okay. Oh, and another thing I'm doing now is I'm taking some additional courses for fine arts. So one of the things that I wanted to do was make sure that I think atmospheric science or meteorology, at least broadcasting, is very descriptive, right? So because it's very descriptive, I actually ended up taking, I think, 3 fine art courses. Like it was like art history 1, 2, 3. I don't know. I don't remember much of it. So what I've done is I've signed up for some classes to take some more, to kind of inundate my brain with fine art because I just think it's fascinating. Okay. So enough about me. And then we'll continue this through Thursday. But do you see here, I'm going to go back. Do you see how that first batch comes to like an end, right? A lull. And then there's your next piece of energy. So we get those pieces of energy that comes in waves, because I always tell you guys that the atmosphere is like the ocean. It's the ocean essentially, and it comes in waves, right? Just think of that. Look what happens again with Northern California. This is going to be a problem. I've already calculated about 4 inches through end of Wednesday without counting that next wave of energy, that next pulse coming through. All right. I know whoever, you guys are probably like, what on God's green earth are we talking about here? Dynamics? Yes, we are talking dynamics. Let's see if we have any questions over here. We have so many streams going on. Thanks, Dave. Thanks, Beverly Hills Smart. Okay. All right. Continue this. And then I think this is going to be one of the pieces of resistance. Look at this, even through Friday. These are waves. Again, push, 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 push. And then I'm actually going to show you, I always give you guys your cheat sheet, which is the NCEP surface. It's literally the best thing to go to if you're looking for a quick update. Okay. And I know you guys are like, these names are all on top of each other. Don't worry about it, because we're going to zoom on in just one moment. Look at the beautiful cold front moving in. Oh my gosh. Can you guys see this up here? Let's see. Can you guys see this right up here? Look at that. Wow, wow, wow. That's so amazing. And look at what's happening here. Do you see that southwesterly influence there? That's what it's tapping into. The Pineapple Express, the atmospheric river, and let's go ahead and toggle this and continue. By later tonight, we're already seeing some accumulation. While it's hovering right up here in less than a half an inch for Southern California, look at Northern California, even parts of Central California. We have a problem here. You guys are going to want to keep an eye out for flooding, okay? So this is going to be the big story through the end of this week. Second half of Friday, all right? I'm just going to give myself a little extra time because I want to make sure you guys are nice and safe. Early Wednesday morning, overnight tonight, into early tomorrow morning, through Wednesday afternoon, into Thursday when we get that next pulse. Do you see what happened there? I'm going back, guys. I'm going back here. I'm going to go to our current condition. Well, this is set at Central Standard Time. Do I have this one at Central Time? No, actually, I have this at Pacific, and I should have changed this up here. Okay, so keep this in mind, guys. You see this right here? This should be PST, not CST. It did not change that. Tisk, tisk. Okay, so we're going to continue this. I'm going to go back here. I'm going to zoom in tonight through the early morning hours tomorrow. We're hovering between that half an inch to maybe 3/4 of an inch in parts of Southern California, the Inland Empire. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. The Valley. And kind of making it right into the high desert, right? Low desert, you guys are going to be okay. You might get a couple of drops here and there, and we'll track that for you. But what happens is Santa Clarita, you guys were dealing with fires, right? So Oxnard, Solvang, do you see how you're in that blue area? That is going to, if you look at this legend up here, you're hovering in that half an inch to an inch and a half. Now, I think that's an unfair range, to be quite honest. I'm going to go ahead and lean towards that inch range. I would say inch to an inch and a half. Sometimes I think that's like a little bit of a safety net for some people so that nobody yells. And then here we can see that we're also kind of hovering in that purple range for some of you right here. And then we're safe as far as hitting that 2.5 to 4 inch range. And once again, I don't find this to be very helpful. It's one of the products that we use to give you a quick and dirty look at the accumulation of rain, but I think it could be a lot more particular and meticulous. Okay, and then we get through Friday. That's when we expect that next energy piece. So it's like 1, 2, 3, boom, boom, boom. All right. That's going to bring so much more rain, and this is where we're going to have a problem. I am telling you right now, we are going to have major problems with the threat of debris flow and mudslides. That is not a question. That is not a maybe. That is not a guesstimate. I've been doing this way too long, and not to toot my own horn, I'm way too good at this. We are going to have a problem, especially come Friday. Friday morning, debris flow, mudslides. Thursday afternoon, in fact, debris flow, mudslides. Definitely debris flow. By Friday, my concern is going to be for mudslides. Any kind of compromised terrain, anything. And I wouldn't even limit it. I think it'd be unfair to say to limit it to burn scars, because to be quite honest with you, I have never shared my opinions with you guys about the overall terrain here. You guys know I have a background in environmental science. This entire area, that entire coastline is compromised. It is. Some of you don't want to hear it, but it is compromised. So when you see these rainfall totals, I am telling you now, it is not a question. It is not even up for debate. You're going to experience debris flow and the potential for mudslides. It is a promise, okay? And you can come back to me here at Weather Co-op and with Erica Martine, and we will dissect this afterwards. You guys know this is my love language, severe weather. It's my love language. You guys know this. So we're going to get through this. We're going to talk about these rainfall totals. And then remember, we've got to talk about the type of precip. Who's getting a wintry precip? I mean, not here in Southern California, not this time, but we're going to go ahead across the nation and we're going to give you snowfall totals, and we're going to talk about the threat of glaze or unfortunately, ice. All right. So let's get started with, well, we got started, but let's go ahead and look at our current conditions across the nation. Now, normally I wouldn't go into our, because we have to look immediate and near term. I had to go ahead, and now we're going to rewind it. Any Gen Xers out there, you guys remember Be Kind and Rewind? Okay. All right. So let's do a couple of things here. And I'm going to start, you know what? Let me just start right here. Let me just start with California, right? Not because we're here, but because this is going to be a problem. This is going to be more national weather. So am I kicking myself that our app isn't done yet and our beta isn't out? Yes. Yes. Well, our beta is. But am I kicking myself that our app isn't out yet? Yes. But there are some reasons. And again, once you see it, you'll understand why. By the way, shout out to our new creative director, Hanif. Thank you so much. You're amazing. Brilliant engineer from UCLA. Okay, so here we go. You got to see here that, let me go out a little bit here. This is a really beautiful setup here. Okay, guys? Okay. And actually what I have here is the ECMWF at 9 kilometers. So remember, it's going to give you a higher spatial resolution. And I do like the European model right now. It's been really good lately. A couple of weeks ago, I was like kind of hanging on to the GFS. To most people, just didn't like the GFS. I'm hanging on to the ECMWF right now. Do you see how it's tapping in? I'm going to put that little hand over it. It's giving you that southwesterly flow. There's your frontal boundary. And then do you see this right up here? That pretty system. Do you see that right there? Let me see. Let me click on that for you guys. Where's my little hand? Can you guys see it? There it is. Let's see. See if I can get that. Okay, there it is. You see that? There it is. There's your area of low pressure. Look at wrapping around. There's your front. There is your southwesterly flow, or there is your Pineapple Express, right? There's your atmospheric river. But because you've got all of that energy, that low, then what we're going to do is we're going to look at all those pulses coming in. Why it's going to be like, we'll often refer to it as training. It'll be like rain, one after another, as far as storms go. In this case, it's just going to be one pulse after next pulse after next pulse. And that's what's going to happen. It's going to actually generate more possibilities for rain. Okay. We see here, we've got, what do we see here? That mustardy color, that brown color. Of course, that's our wind situation. Let's remove our radar quickly. All right. And then let's take a look at our significant alerts, which includes, of course, our high wind warning. We also have our wind watches or wind advisories. Here we have our flood watches. Here we have our winter storm warning. And of course, anything coastal here, Monterey, you've got to be really mindful as well. Generally speaking, that's what we call our small craft. But also in this case, we have our storm warning. This is going to be a problem. All right, mark my words on this one, guys. Just like when we were talking about how this was going to be a very impactful La Nina, remember, because it was a weak La Nina, and many of you were like, oh, I'm like, okay. Okay, so do you see this little guy right here? Do you see this little feature? This is a feature we're going to want to look at, right? Just north of Fraser Park, we have Cuyama. You've got some good stuff there. You're kind of in the intersection of the wind watch and the high wind warning. And then we go to Santa Clarita, just outside of Santa Clarita. We are starting to see everything fill in. And by tomorrow morning, we will definitely have more of this filled in, okay? You see here that, of course, for the mountains, we have the threat of winter weather. That's to be expected. Sierra Nevadas. But we are mainly concerned, especially in Southern California, Central Southern California, we're concerned about the rain, okay, because of the amount of rain we're going to get in that shorter amount of time. Current conditions here in Los Angeles, 62 degrees. I don't even know. Oh, I know why this is the case here. All right, here we go. This is what I'm talking about. Prime time. I had it like centered right over Southern California. Guess what? The entire world is not based around Southern California as much as we'd like to think so, right? No. San Francisco, needless to say, it is raining. We have Los Angeles in the low 60s, San Diego as well, St. George 70s, Salt Lake City, hello to you. Thunderstorms in the mid 60s. Billings, you guys can never catch a break there at 3 degrees. Glasgow at 2. Kalispell at 4. Bismarck at 5. And of course, we have that snow for parts of, look at this, Montana, Great Plains, Idaho. So pretty, Northern Plains. Des Moines, we've got you at 20 along with Omaha. Kansas City, you are right at the freezing mark, 32 degrees. And then look what happens. Remember how people were like, we're above, we're breaking records as far as these daily high temperatures go, right? And now we're getting that that Arctic air mass coming down. Okay, it's going to filter southward. So you can see the blues to the greens to the yellows to the oranges and that like kind of, there you go, like the fire engine red. Shout out to my father-in-law. Fire engine red. Okay, and then we head on over into the Mississippi River Valley, the Tennessee Valley, Ohio Valley, Great Lakes region, and then through the northeastward, right? So there we're seeing the Piedmont as well. I like to always give you guys a little shout out. I feel like you guys are always left in the dust. So we're seeing that region there starting to cool down. So then what does that mean? It means any precip that we're going to get, which you'll see shortly, is going to have the risk of changing over. That's why we have to get to our wintry type precip in a moment. We have winds in San Francisco at 24 miles per hour. We were talking about how we saw the wind alerts in the pretty much all of California in pockets right now, but it'll fill in. Los Angeles, 11 mile per hour wind speed. St. George at 18. Salt Lake City at 19. Rapid City, 11. You can see how the atmosphere is starting to kind of activate, right? Okay. We've got Los Angeles with dew points in the 40s. Do you remember just a few weeks ago? Because I sure do. Zeros, fives, tens in the LA County region. San Francisco, you're at 50%. So yeah, you're at saturation pretty much. So 40s, if we were at 61, it was a 60 or 61 degrees, dew points out in the 40s. So we're close to saturation. We still got a couple more hours to go, but keep that in mind right there. This is why this is an important number for you guys to see. And this is actually, if you look at the wind profile, do you see how we're missing parts of the Pacific? That's because we have it on a graph. North America version. Let's switch that over to an ECMWF. Do you see how pretty that looks? Look at that. Ooh. Oh, wow. Look at that. Look at this, guys. Another storm. Ooh. We've got a couple of rounds, right? And actually, really quickly, I was speaking to somebody yesterday, and I wanted to give you guys a heads up on this, okay? Let's go to our GFS quickly. Let's look at our precip. I'm gonna go to the GFS. I don't care. It's at this point, it's gonna be all about just all about algorithmic functions that I do. So don't worry about it. I can always correct everything for you. But as you can see here, by later in the month, or you can't see that because I'm looking at it over here, we're going to get some more pieces of energy moving through, some more storm systems. But look at how pretty that looks. And actually, this is a really great depiction. Look at that. Let me make sure my little hand is, see that little, is my hand, the little blue hand there? There it is. Do you see how that moisture is tapping way southwest, moving all the way up there? Now you can actually see that front right there. Look at that front. Ooh, so pretty. Okay. Really nice. Isn't this amazing how this all works and it comes together and it's just like this little engine, right? So hour by hour temperatures. Should we do this together? We should. Let's get this going. And oh my God, we get a retreat of that Arctic air and then it comes right back down because of course it's winter. And if you guys were, unless you were living under a rock, you'll know that Punxsutawney Phil saw his shadow. My mom texted me right away. She's like, Punxsutawney Phil saw his shadow. I was like, yeah, wah wah. He sees it every year, I feel like. Okay, so there we can see the battle of the air masses. This is going to be an important one right here because I'm telling you right now, the past couple of years, guys, I have not been storm chasing. I'm going storm chasing this year. I'm going storm chasing. So I'm going to wrangle me some tornadoes in a couple of weeks. Because I am telling you, we're going to have the threat of tornadoes and we're going to have those in the not so distant future. Okay? this is going to set up lovely for a battle of the air masses come Marchish, late March. Okay, well, probably a little bit sooner. We'll talk about that. And then, ta-da! Expected rainfall totals. And I showed you our SoCal region with our expected rainfall totals through the end of the week, but now let's go through the entire nation. Wow, look at this. We're going through Friday, 6 p.m. Look at these totals, okay? And remember, once we get into the middle of the nation, once we get into the Ohio Valley, Tennessee Valley, right around the Great Lakes, do you see how we're going to have to start deciphering? Is this, what kind of a precip is this? Is this rain? Is it a wintry mix? What exactly is this, okay? The Sierra Nevadas have a nice total there, so I'm going to assume that we're seeing a combination there. We will take a look at exactly who's getting what. We're getting down to the nitty gritty. I know we've been going for about 26 minutes. You guys, I always promised you 10 minutes and that's it. And then I'm like, what? I can talk my butt off when it comes to weather. All right. Expected snow accumulation. We're going to break this up now because you're going to track that Arctic air mass that we were showing you. And then we'll talk about some other items that we need to look at, but we're going to just go through this. We're just focusing first on the precip type, precip totals, and then we're going to keep going, okay? All right, through Wednesday, tomorrow morning, tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening, and look what happens into Thursday afternoon. I have so many pause points here. Friday afternoon. I like to break these down for you guys, okay? We're seeing who is getting the snow. We're seeing parts of the northern portion of the nation getting 24, 36 inches of snow. We're seeing some higher numbers over here. You see this? Right in Montana, Idaho. For skiers, this is like ski heaven right here. Parts of Wyoming, one of my favorite places to be. We're seeing some impressive snowfall totals along the Rockies, of course, the Sierra Nevadas. So this is going to be a very, very interesting couple of days, especially when we're talking about also the threat of avalanche, which reminds me. Let me go back to this quickly. I have to go see this. The other day, was it like yesterday, before yesterday, we saw some, I said like, no, we saw, we saw some. We saw avalanche warnings. And now we're also seeing, this looks like a, let's see. Why is this not populating? Okay. Let's get this here. Going, don't worry. Okay, we got our fire weather warning. Conditions are going to be very there's some issues here with the aridities, but also because of the wind, and that would be because of the battle of the air masses across parts of the southern plains. And this is going to be a very interesting stretch of weather there as well. We have lots of wind issues, and don't forget that we could also see lots of damage when it comes to wind. We will have to track this very closely for you. We have all of these winter storms moving across parts of the northwestern portion of the nation. And then for Pennsylvania, for parts of New York, New Jersey, we also have parts of New England as well. And we have a portion of the Midwest. There is a lot happening. This looks like it's either fog or air stagnation. Let's see. Dense fog advisory. So we have our dense fog advisories. That makes a lot of sense, especially with that air mass that's moving along and coming along in the Gulf, right? And that's moving in and bringing all that southeasterly, moisture-rich, warm, muggy air. All right? I want to show you that very quickly because that was really important, because the other day when I saw the avalanche warnings, I know that could actually be a problem by the end of the week, especially in those areas where we saw those high snowfall totals. That's going to be a problem that we're going to have to look at for Is this one right here? No, that's a snow total. It's right underneath it. Let me just remove this quickly. Hold on. Because I was just really concerned. Yeah, this looks like, this is actually something that I want to show you guys quickly. Well, actually, not so quickly. I say that, and I don't mean it like that. Here we go. I just talked about the threat. This looks like, hang on. Give me a second, guys. Calculating in my head. Alrighty. Let's remove radar quickly. So we're going to just unlayer these and then layer them again. There you go. Avalanche warning. I just said it to you guys. You have to understand all of these little pieces are going to make everything super delicate. So some of us are going to be dealing with the threat, no matter how you think about it, really. You've got your avalanches, which is compromised, and it's going to, affect the terrain. And then we have our threat of debris flow and landslides, or mudslides rather, and possible landslides. But that will be because of the amount of rain, and not necessarily because of the fires in Southern California, but because of the overall topography here. Listen, I think at some other point in time, I'll talk to you guys about what's happening with the insurance agencies. And generally speaking, my team and I prefer not to impart our opinion. This isn't even an opinion. This is the real deal. There are places you're actually not supposed to build houses as much as you'd love to and as beautiful as it may look. There are places you're not supposed to. So if you're not insured and you don't look at your policy, you seriously have to look at your common sense as well. Okay? Because it's like saying, well, my husband just had to update our health insurance policy, right? Why? Because something could happen. Is the likelihood, it's more likely that something won't than will. But I'm okay that we have to pay extra to have the chance of being protected. Okay? And before anybody says anything, I'm going to say something else. I don't have kids. So my expenses go to me and they go to the things that I want. And we're going to adopt, we're looking to adopt, we're hoping to adopt. But right now, before somebody says, well, because you can afford insurance, it's like, we work hard and I don't have kids. Okay? But I do have a stepson. Happy birthday, by the way. Okay, so we're also talking about the situation here when it comes to actually, I just said this. Didn't I just say this was going to look like all filled in? Back to the avalanche warning. Idaho. Wow. This is scary. This is going to be a really serious situation. And if you, your friends, loved ones, this looks like an airport situation. This might be airport. Do you see how this is just so enticing? There's just so much here. This is like shiny, shiny, shiny. Here we go. That's likely airport. Aviation weather warning. Okay, so that's a report that's coming in, and that's something we're going to have to, that looks like it's going to be probably valid for the next couple of hours, maybe? Yeah, until 7 p.m. local time, MST. Okay. I remember when we lived in Utah, as much as I love Utah, that's where we got married. It was always, I never adjusted to mountain time. Never adjusted to it. It was the oddest thing. I always felt like it was a Sunday. I was like, is it Sunday again? Is it Sunday again? Mountain time is, listen, I love Wyoming. I love Idaho. I love Utah. I do. I really do. But that mountain time throws me off. I never lived in Colorado, so I can tell you. And it just threw me off. All right. These look like special weather statements, and I'm going to assume this might have to do with the freezing or the potential for black ice or freezing rain or sleet, right? So we would have to, at that point, take a lot of time together to observe the SCUTs and see exactly what kind of precip we're getting at what parts of the atmosphere. We're also seeing, of course, our winter weather advisories. And this one here is our ice storm warning. Okay. Let me zoom on in. Actually, let me hover over quickly. This is an interesting, they're all interesting weather alerts, right? They're all fascinating, of course. And this one here is going to be serious because now we're talking about that ice storm. Now, I want you to understand all of it is serious because even if it isn't necessarily ice, you're going to likely encounter patches of ice anywhere you're seeing that colder air mass. Okay. Connecticut, my home state, please be careful. To my dear nutmeggers, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, my beloved friends in Pennsylvania, you guys please be careful as well. Maine, we've got our cold weather advisory. No surprise there. Thank you so much, Canada. You guys are always good for a cold time. Okay. We also have our Great Lakes advisory or alerts as well, because these aren't necessarily advisories, but we have our gale watches, and we have to be really picky about those and be really detailed. Okay. And thank you so much, guys, for tuning into Weather Co-op or Weather Meets Community. Make sure you follow us and subscribe if you want the wordiest, most intricate forecast out there. I love sharing that with you. I just don't think it's fair to just give you guys a quick, like, what is it? Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. No, I give you guys details. Details. The devil's in the details. Okay. Let's look at a couple of other things. These are more wind concerns. We've talked about this, that mustardy brown color. Your eye kind of wants to go to that automatically because that should signal to you that something's happening. Because as I've told you guys in the past, anytime we're seeing wind concerns, it's because something's not right in the atmosphere. Right? We went through these already. Let's see what else we can get through. This is our Futurecast snowfall total. Oh, we already did this one with you guys, but for SNGs, let's do it one more time, guys. Hey, look at that. Everything is filling in nicely across the northern portion of the nation, guys. I'm so concerned about the ice. I'm so concerned about the black ice. I'm so concerned about the ice storm in general, but I'm also concerned about those snowfall totals, the threat of avalanches, and of course, the threat of mudslides and debris flow. All right. For just about 40 minutes. I'm meteorologist Erica Martin with Weather Co-op, where weather meets community. Thank you so much for joining me for this round of weather updates, detailed weather updates. I am so glad you joined me. Again, make sure you follow us, share, subscribe to our YouTube channel. And don't forget, we also have our platform that's rolling out soon. I know I've said that so often, but guys, it's so much love. There's so much love that goes into this. We just want to make sure it's the best, cutest project. But then there's the point where you're just like, release the darn thing, release it. Okay. Love you guys. Have a great night, and make sure you stay safe and refer to this often if you want, because you're going to see here that we do have some really great information that you and your family and friends can rely on here at Weather Co-op. Bye, guys. Have a great evening. I might be back. All right. Bye.